Okay. So we're on the record, we're live streaming and I think we've all met. Daryl Clark is with the Federal Mediation and Conciliation Service out of Portland. It's one of the few government-run benefits that we're allowed to take advantage of, it seems. And he's employed by the federal government, and what he does is does mediations all over the Northwest, generally for governmental entities and unions. He does a lot of hospital, nurses, school districts, I'm assuming fire and police as well, because you've done that with us.
Yeah, I've been around a while.
So I'll let him describe where we're at, what we're going to do.
I'll just go ahead and start. My name's Daryl Clark. I'm one of 2 federal mediators in the Portland, Oregon virtual office of FMCS. FMCS, Federal Mediation and Conciliation Service, was established as part of the labor law called Taft-Hartley in 1947. We had the Wagner Act in 1935 that essentially gave the rules of the road for organizing and collectively bargaining in the private sector in this country. On the heels of that, we had a lot of work stoppages. So one of the things that they did in Taft-Hartley was establish a set of prepaid by our federal tax dollars, neutrals, to try to come and help the parties bridge their differences, preventing the outcomes that are to the economy and interstate commerce and the impacts that work stoppages create in the economy and interstate commerce. So we're not an enforcement agency, though they do give me a badge. So, we're not an enforcement agency. I can't make anybody, and I know some of y'all be armed, I can't make anybody do anything anyway. That's not our role. I'm not a finder of fact. I don't make decisions and say this is what the outcome will be. My role is to be a neutral and try to help the parties find solutions they have been unable to find on their own. So I'm kind of an equal opportunity arm twister. I have a lot of experience in collective bargaining, so I do have some ideas sometimes that can help. But at the end, the decisions are up to the parties. This process, just so you know, anything that happens here, like we'll go into executive session and I'll kind of run back and forth between the parties because we're not meeting. We're essentially trying to come up with ideas that might lead us to an agreement, if that makes sense. So, and who owns the outcome at the end? Everybody but me. Okay, so that's the best part of being me. But the point is, I also, if there's any dispute about what happens here, I cannot be subpoenaed. I can't be brought into any litigation because there's protections for the future neutrality of the mediator built into the act, right? So we're immune from all that stuff. So if we come up with ideas that help us bridge our differences, then make sure that you understand what the implications are. Because once again, if we do reach an agreement, and then there's this term that lawyers tend to use from time to time is we don't have a meeting of the minds. We agree on the language or whatever, but we don't agree on the intent, right? So in principle, we're in agreement, we just don't agree what it means. So you need to make sure, because you all are the ones who own that. So as I say, we're part of the executive branch of the federal government. We're a standalone agency. There's about 134 mediators that do collective bargaining mediation across the country currently. It's a really small group. Our primary work is in the private sector. We backfill in states that does not have their own mediation service in the public sector, such as Idaho. There are places like Oregon, Washington, California that has their own public sector mediation service. We don't do that work. We also do federal sector bargaining and a whole bunch of other things. But today we're here to do these negotiations and hopefully find resolution. But the outcome belongs to y'all. So if we can get some ideas at some point that it turns into an agreement or turns into an agreement in principle, then we'll come together and then it'll come back in session, and then it's up to you folks in that process. That makes sense? All right, any questions?
Just so everybody's clear, because it's always been a contention of mine, that our Public Meeting Act includes mediation as part of an open meeting. Why they did that, I don't know. So there's never any formal proposals made through Daryl. Daryl talks about ideas and what ifs, and supposals is a word that he uses. When either party is ready to make a formal proposal, we have to come back into the open session, convene, and then that formal proposal is made. It may have been discussed back and forth, but that's when the open proposal. So there won't be any actual proposals made while we're in our respective executive sessions.
Yeah, this is the what ifs are a powerful tool. It's a way to understand kind of the motivators for both parties. By the way, anything said to the mediator in separate caucus is off the record and won't be shared with the other caucus unless I'm told I can, right? So that's really important. You need to be able to tell me honestly, not just the what, but the why. Why is this important? Why is this essential? What's my motivators, without concern that I will share those if you're not ready to share those. Fair enough? So it's up to you all to move to adjourn into executive session. I guess that's the process you generally use.
Yeah, so we'll move into executive session. We'll take the legal conference room, and you guys can have which one is?
In Wamazawa.
In Wamazawa, okay.
If we go past 5, we're gonna bounce around a little.
Yeah, because I think planning and zoning's in here at 5, and so we'll figure out where the new open meeting place is. It's safer.
No.
It's open to the world. I just want to say, so we started the mediation process, shared some information, but it did not get us significantly closer. I believe that the consensus, at least, became rather obvious that the gap that remains financially was more than we could bridge today. And I hope that's what you've agreed to. That's my take.
Certainly.
That being said, we're going out of executive session and back into your normal session, and now I'm going to sit down because it's your gig. Thanks.
And thank you, Mr. Clark. We appreciate your contribution. If we could, we wanted to just address a couple of the proposals from the city that the union is ready to agree to.
Okay.
When we look at city proposal number 1 as to medical insurance under Article 14, that's agreed on, right? This one, yeah. So we can call city proposal number 1 accepted.
So you want to sign off on it?
Yes.
I think this is a clean copy. No, I've written on it. Really clean copy.
Management counter proposal number
No
1
clue.
to union proposal number 4 is acceptable. That's right. You're looking at proposal 1. That's right.
Yep.
Oh, right.
So we're looking at,
Counter proposal 1 to union proposal 4.
okay,
The 3 versus 2.
okay. Anybody have any objection to it? So it's TA number 2.
Management counter proposal number 3 to union proposal number 7.
And it's basically just adding evidence technicians in to the EAP program, right?
Right. And then city proposal number 3. And I guess revision number 1.
Give me a second.
Sure. Mine are all written out, so.
City proposal, which one is it on?
This is under Article 19, Section 1.
Social security replacement?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Beyond that, I don't think that we've received any kind of a response to the rest of the proposals that we've put forward, and so we would wait for an official response to those probably before we go too much further, I think. Or maybe any further.
Okay.
So what's a date that works?
Friday.
Friday.
We're well, maybe I should start with the days that work. So we're probably not from our side going to be available until June 19th.
Ashley, what's the date that the budget has to be done?
We will be in tax solution the second week of June. So
Okay.
we have to publish the second week of July. But we can't really do anything in tax solution unless we have numbers. So we need to be done by June.
That's the problem we have is statutorily we have to have the budget done. When?
Well, I mean, we've made our
I can provide that to you. I don't have.
we've made our proposal, but we're not going to be ready to go forward again until June 19th if the city isn't ready to accept what's been put out.
Is there a reason why you're waiting until June 19th?
There are a couple of reasons. First, I have a 3-week trial that starts June 3rd.
Okay.
And I would have a hard time having availability between now and then. That trial is set to end June 18th, but what the feedback that came back to us, if we understood correctly today, was that a multi-year deal was a non-starter.
Correct.
And so I guess there will be a new person on that side of the table on June 19th.
No, not necessarily. That will just be when we currently do not have Marchand. That does not mean a new chief will be seated.
Right. Okay, well, Marchand won't be there.
He retires, I think, 17th of June.
That's right.
I have to check with the team and on June 19th to see whether
We'd also like a member of the city council to start attending. We're at a disadvantage where...
you can't dictate who we have at the table.
Well, sure we can.
No, you can't.
Sure. We can ask, at least, right?
And we've selected our team and
right, no,
the
I
team is
understand
here.
that, but that's also not your call, right? And so...
No, it is my call.
No, it's not. You're not the executive authority at the city.
I'm the chief negotiator appointed by the city council.
Right,
And the team has been selected.
but
It's
you
been
don't have authority
notified.
over whether or not somebody from the city council comes and sits in.
No, they can come and sit in.
Sure.
I'm
So,
just saying that
the problem
there's
that we
nobody
have-
from the city council going to be added to the team to sit at the table.
Well, I think that you should revisit that because the issue that we're facing is that there's decision-making power here and there's none there, right? And so we are forced into the position of filtering everything that we want through someone to the decision makers, which isn't really good faith negotiation.
It's absolutely good faith because
No, that's not how we see it.
A city councilman sitting at the table has no more decision-making authority.
But is
than
that city
anybody else.
councilman eventually going to cast a vote that matters on that issue? Of course they are.
Well, yeah, but
Right,
they-
they're not going to do it at the table,
But
they're
they
going
have
to.
no power other than acting collectively as a board.
And
So if
that's
you want
fine,
the decision
except for
maker at
nobody
table-
on the other side of the table is ever going to have any of that power as part of that board, ever. So we would like somebody sitting at the table who is,
And it's not going to happen.
okay? Then I guess we're not going to negotiate again.
Okay, that's your choice to shut down negotiations.
No, that's you.
No.
You're saying that you won't bring somebody in to negotiate with. You guys aren't really negotiating.
You can't dictate
You're
who
not
we have on the
really,
team.
but Scott, you're not really negotiating. You're not.
We
Because
are.
there's no
You
decision.
can- you
You
can
know as well
choose-
as I do that in the litigation sphere, if you go to a settlement conference without settlement authority, you get sanctioned.
This
Okay,
is not
and
the
so
litigation
I understand that,
sphere.
but we're still in a negotiation where we have people coming in who don't have authority to pull the trigger, and that's not fair.
And so I just need to make the
We
record.
need
I
to talk
the-
to decision makers.
I need the record clear that absent a city councilman being sitting at the table, you're refusing to negotiate.
No, we're saying you're refusing to negotiate
No.
by not seating someone.
I'm saying
that's
that
the
our
that's,
team has been
no, but
selected.
you're not going to editorialize the record. Okay, we're saying we need to speak with somebody who can make a decision in order to negotiate in good faith.
And
That's
what I'm
what
saying,
we're asking
what I'm
for.
saying is the teams have been set.
But what does that
The
mean?
team is,
What does that mean that the team has been set?
we notified who was on our team and you notified who was on your team.
But what is the legal significance of that?
You can't dictate who we have on our team.
Sure we can.
No, you can't.
Or we can negotiate or whatever. I mean, you can
So what
phrase
I'm
it or
saying
you can
is-
couch it in
is
whatever
you've made
terms
a
you
demand-
want.
You've made a demand that a city council person.
We need to talk to somebody who can make a decision.
Excuse me. I'll try not to talk over you.
Okay.
If you can do the same thing
Sure.
for me. What I'm hearing is you're making a demand that we place somebody that you want on our team.
It can be whoever you want.
Okay. No, but it has to be a city council person, correct?
We need somebody who can make a decision,
A city
certainly.
council person, okay? And I'm saying today that is not going to happen
And why?
because our team is set.
And but
This
what
is-
does that
this is
mean?
our team.
That's like playing basketball on the playground and saying the teams are locked.
It's not.
So-
So if you don't want to negotiate absent a city council person
But,
sitting,
but
that's
wait,
your
wait, wait,
choice.
wait.
That's
Well,
your
you
choice.
said the teams are set,
The teams
right?
are set.
Okay. So, but why? What do you mean they're set? Why is it that it can't be revisited or people can't be added? Why?
I'm saying that you can.
I'm asking you why.
I'm trying to tell you,
Okay,
and
can
I
you-
appreciate you not interrupting me all the time.
Okay.
Okay. Our team has been set, and we will select who we want to have on our team. That selection has been made, and we're not going to change it. Now,
And my question is why? So that's my actual question. If you could answer that.
because
Why?
there's absolutely no reason to change it.
I just told you the reason.
You
Because
want a
we have
decision-maker-
decision-making power here, and we would like to have it there.
There is no decision-making power without the full council being present.
Right, but
Okay,
that's
so if you
someone who's
wanted-
going to
But if you
participate
want
in
a
that decision.
decision-making power, the entire council has to be present. So your
That's fine.
demand makes no sense.
No, that's first of all, no. Okay.
We're willing to negotiate at any time. It's
No.
your choice whether to negotiate or not.
That's First of all, that's not even close to being accurate. We're not asking for you to seat somebody at the table so that they can make a decision at the table. We're asking for somebody to be seated at the table who will eventually participate in that decision. And there's nobody in the room right now who answers to that description. That's what we're asking for. We're putting people on this side of the table who can make decisions. We're asking someone to be on that side of the table who will participate in the decision. That makes sense.
Not from my perspective.
Why does it make sense?
I-
So it makes more sense to put people at the table who won't make the
I
decision.
made my point. You have to decide whether you want to come back to the table without a city council person being
Well,
here.
why can't we just ask the city council if they will seat someone on the committee?
I will ask. I have no problem with asking. But
then-
if you're saying that, I'm hearing you saying that you're not coming back to the table absent that happening.
Well, we want
Is
it to
that,
happen.
is that what you're saying?
We want it to happen, and so
Is that what you're saying?
no, that's not what we're saying.
So we can schedule for June 19th then.
Do you guys want to schedule for June 19th?
Are we setting up a time right now? So
Well, you
we're doing-
suggested June 19th.
Do you want to?
I'm good for it.
It's okay.
Keith?
How's everybody?
Yes.
My phone's off. So.
The 19th's not great for me.
Okay. What is after that?
I can do the 20th.
We can do any time before that. Yeah.
Or the 21st.
The 20th is open for me. I actually have nothing that day, which is a rarity. 20th open?
Should be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm good for that. I have a question. The mayor was quoted in the paper saying 2 to 3 weeks he'd have a decision who the chief would be.
That means an offer. That doesn't mean someone seated.
By offer, he was offer the job to him.
And then there could be a background check, which is an indeterminate amount of time. There's if someone has to move. There's a lot of considerations. It doesn't mean you have someone on
It
board
could be
that
several
day.
months before they actually take the job.
Okay.
We're available anytime before the 19th, and we're requesting dates prior to the 19th. I understand your conflict. We're available on the 20th.
The 20th is open for me.
Are you good on the 20th?
And since you guys like have the rules, is it can we ask the council to sit in here, or we're not allowed to talk to them?
If you're
All I'm asking is to
going to
ask
the
them to
council
sit.
for purposes of negotiations, then that has to be done in an open meeting.
What if we ask them just to come and watch? Is that the purposes of negotiations? Do you view that as the purposes of negotiations? If we ask them to be here, hey,
It
just so
depends
you know,
upon what you did, how you did it, and when you did it.
I just told you.
I can't
I
tell
just told
you.
you that's what I would say. I would say, hey, would you guys come to negotiations on June 20th and watch, observe? Am I allowed to do that?
Going directly to the council?
Yes.
To say that in an open meeting?
Yes.
I don't know.
What do you mean?
Keith, I'll look into it. Don't
Well,
worry.
I don't want to get in trouble. I don't want to
No,
mess up our
it's okay.
negotiations.
I'll look at it. You'll be fine.
Good.
I have just one comment to say. Opening up with a 2.5% increase, the same as every other city and every other employee in the city. Knowing that most people are 6% underpaid. Knowing that the police are 15 to 21% underpaid, depending on how you look at it, even higher. You really think it's in good faith to open up with a 2.5% increase, the same as other employees that are 6% down, but our gap is way larger than your average employee. Good faith.
So I said we're 6.1% behind CPI.
Okay.
I did not say we were behind 6.1% of today's market.
Okay, so that didn't answer the question.
Yes, it did.
It doesn't really answer the question.
So
I mean,
essentially we have
Yes.
a much
look.
bigger gap for police employees sworn.
But you're pulling
Then we do
data
a general
from
employee.
today. I haven't pulled data for general employees today. I
Okay.
pulled 3 years of CPI. I didn't do a full
So
comp
what I'm
study.
gathering is that the city does not value its police employees as it does general employees.
Those are your words,
Those are your words.
not ours.
But I mean, it's
From your
reflected,
actions.
it's reflected in the gap between market. I mean, look.
No, the market is what you established. We did not agree to market. We agreed to look at it for the process of
You
these.
were present at that meeting
Please
in
do not
January.
interrupt me. You
I
do
will
it all
interrupt
the
you when
time.
you're
It's
saying things that
incredibly
aren't
rude.
true. No, don't hey me.
It's
Listen,
incredibly
in
rude.
January 9th,
We're done.
2019, you are the one who sat there and said what the market was and that we were behind it. That was you.
We're done, folks. Absolute civility is necessary.